Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with LA County Library, and I welcome you to Work Ready, Pros and Cons of Gig Work. And now I'd like to tell you about the Work Ready program. Work Ready started in December of 2020 with the purpose of helping people get a job, improve their work situation, and plan a more sustainable career path. We do that in two ways. We lend out laptops and Wi-Fi hotspots for 6-week loans out of 27 library locations, breaking down one barrier to applying for a job and getting online training. And number two is we provide virtual events, just like this one, on a range of work-related topics from basics like resumes, cover letters, and interviews to deep dives into various careers and other subjects that help you succeed at work. And you can see over 50 of those presentations on our YouTube channel. I'm going to post a link to our work and career playlist into the chat right now so you can peruse the offerings that we have available. And the Work Ready program is made possible due to funds from the American Rescue Plan. Before we get going with today's event, I also want to let you know what we have coming up next week, and that is Work Ready Time Management Tune-Up on Tuesday, June 27th at 11 o'clock. Next Tuesday at 11 o'clock, a week from right now. The question is, are you struggling because there's never enough time to do everything? Join career coach Jennifer Rizzotti as she teaches you to identify key priorities, avoid time bandits, and realign your priorities and goals by conducting a time audit. I'm going to post a link to that description and the registration link in the chat, so you can sign up for that now. And if you'd like to learn more about our virtual or in-person events, you can go to our website at lacountylibrary.org, and then on the top right-hand side, click the events button, and that'll show you all of our in-person and virtual events out of 85 library locations, programs for teens, kids, adults, older adults, all free. And if you're just interested in our virtual events, you can have access just to those by hovering over that events button, and a little drop down will come up that says virtual programming. Click on that and you'll see all of our Zoom events just like this one. All right, that was Work Ready, what we had coming up next week. And now let's focus on today's program. And to do that, I'd like to introduce our panel for today. Our first panelist is Judith Norman. She's the founder of Start TV, or Start Her TV, an upcoming independent subscription streaming service dedicated to producing and distributing original aspirational stories about Black and Brown women entrepreneurs that major streamers and TV networks overlook. Judith bootstraps this endeavor by working a part-time gig as an Uber Eats delivery person. Welcome, Judith. Next, we have D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown is a stand-up comedian, actress, producer, and filmmaker from Detroit, Michigan. Brown moved to Los Angeles back in 2019 to further pursue her comedic career. After airing her first television special on Revolt TV, Brown has taken the Hollywood comedy scene by storm. Brown has also written and produced her first short film titled Keep It on the D-Lo, which will be premiering this winter. From opening for DeRay Davis and Shantae Waynes, D'Lo Brown is a force that will be taking over the West Coast very soon. Welcome, D'Lo. Our next panelist is Arbel Kimmick. For the past 10 years, Arbel Kimmick has been a professional freelancer in the internet marketing space, including website design, marketing, SEO, and more. And for the last 6 years, she has been using Fiverr as her main source of income. Arbel's main voiceover gig on Fiverr has over 3,000 5-star reviews and has been featured as a top voiceover artist in her category. She has had the pleasure of working with brands like Peloton, IBM, Mars Candy, and even the popular YouTube channel Family Island. As of February 2022, Arbel created the channel @FreelanceBigSis, on TikTok and is growing a community of like-minded freelancers who want to expand their freelance business. She has since started teaching and helping these freelancers not only get started on Fiverr, but now to be successful as a Fiverr seller, scale their business and increase their income. Welcome, Arbel. Finally, we have Sabrina Miller. Sabrina Miller is a multimedia content creator with over 67,000 dedicated followers spread across various social media platforms. Sabrina has built a tight-knit community that she fondly refers to as her virtual best friends. Her engaging and relatable personality has won the hearts of many, leaving a lasting impact on those who seek her guidance and wisdom. You can find her online at simplybeinsabrina.com and across a variety of social media channels. Welcome, Sabrina, and welcome to all of our panelists. So let's all come on and get this panel started. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you
Hello.
very much for being here. I so
Hello.
appreciate that you all joining me today as we talk about the pros and cons of gig work. And I know all of you guys have backgrounds that say what kind of gig you have, but can we just do a quick round robin so you can let the folks know who you are and what is the type of gig work that you do? So let's start with Judith.
My name is Judith Norman. I am representing Uber Eats today. Basically, I do Uber Eats deliveries part-time. It's just, it is truly a gig for me. And I try to do it, maybe 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, sometimes a Saturday, but it's strictly a gig, a profitable gig.
And Dilo?
Hi, my name is Dilo, and I am a part-time Uber driver. Like Judith said, it's a gig for sure. I like to do it at least maybe 2 or 3 days a week, and it can be rewarding at times. So, yep, I'm an Uber driver.
Thank you. And Arbel?
Hello, everyone. So glad to be here. Yes, again, I'm Arbel, and I have been doing Fiverr now for 7 years, and it's actually my main source of income. So although it's a gig, it's my main gig. I work from home, and I've been working from home for, several years now, and I do video content for brands as well as voiceovers, as Ole said, and I love it. There's definitely some pitfalls, and I talk a lot about the pitfalls so nobody else experiences it. I've definitely had some major things go wrong, have learned from it, and I like to share what can go wrong. So it's not always rainbows and sunshine, but I love it. So I love talking about it.
Thanks, Arbel. And Sabrina?
Well, my name's Sabrina, and I am representing Instacart. I've been doing Instacart for about 2 years now. And for a minute, it was kind of my full time. I was doing it more serious, but lately I've been just doing it as needed and kind of how I feel. But yeah, that's what I do.
Thank you all. And so each of you represent or work in a different type of gig. And I'm curious how you got started with the specific gig that you do and why you chose to continue doing the specific one that you do. Let's start with Dilo.
Yes. So, besides Uber driving, I'm a stand-up comedian, and one of my friends who's a comic actually introduced me into Uber driving. I saw that she had been doing it for a few months, so she was telling me she makes pretty good cash from it. So I said, let me give it a try, and I've been doing it for a few months. It's been cool because I get to make my own schedule, and so that's the most rewarding part about it. You get to meet some pretty cool people. So yeah, my friend introduced me into it.
Thanks. And Judith?
I started Uber Eats pre-pandemic, I think probably in 2018. And I did it. I was actually working a full-time job, doing a business, but the gas prices went crazy. I think the gas was like $5 a gallon. And I had to commute for my real job, commuting from the South Bay to downtown LA, which is a considerable distance every day. And so to pay for gas, I would do Uber Eats before I went to work because I worked the swing shift. And so it was like, hey, I can make about $30 before work, that's 20 for my gas, and then I have the rest for my lunch. And so I would do it a couple of times, maybe 2 or 3 days out of the week. And then I didn't do it for a very long time. I only restarted it this year as a means to, support my business. Me doing Uber Eats for 2 hours, 2 hours in one day can pay for my web hosting, can pay for my Canva bill. That's just one day. And so multiply that by 5, that's, a little bit of money for me to pay for other things, and also, some personal bills. So that's why I do it. And, like everyone else said, there's good things and not so good things, but overall, I think it's a good thing because I can control my time and make money when I need it.
So yeah, it sounds like flexibility is a really big thing. You can work as many hours as you want in the day, whichever days you want. You can stop for a while and restart. So that's we're talking about pros and cons of gig work. That seems to be a big one that's coming up. Sabrina, how did you get into Instacart?
Well, I did sign up with Instacart probably around the pre-pandemic, but that's when at that time, that was like right before, because I have kids, that was right before everything got shut down. So I wasn't able to go through with Instacart because I didn't have daycare. So it just got all crazy. But then when things started to open up a little bit, that's when I start back into it. And a lot of people weren't going to the grocery store. So I started making really good money, and it ended up being almost like a full-time job because I was actually making more money with Instacart because people were tipping really well because nobody wanted to go to the store. So that worked out really well. And then it kind of slowed down. That's what made me kind of slow down a little bit. But now I just use it as needed because I like to go shopping. So it kind of works on my personality. So I know stores really well. And so, yeah, that's basically what I do now, just as needed. When I need extra income or I want to do something, I just kind of use it for that.
Sounds great. And Arbel, I want you to get into how you got into a Fiverr particularly, but also move on to the next question, because each of you mentioned a little bit about, making a little extra money. And I think at the very beginning, it might be worthwhile to let people know, like, what's how much money can a person make doing gig work? Like, what's an average? Like, Judith, you work a couple of hours a day. What might that look like? What the range be? So, Arbel, if you would just tell us how you got into Fiverr, and then also kind of the range of how much somebody can make.
Sure, sure. So I got started in 2016. I was actually a Fiverr buyer, so I would purchase services like Judith and I were talking about. I would purchase services when I was doing my web design work. So I owned a web design agency. I was, the owner operator. I had a couple freelancers. It was doing really, really well. I'm here in South Florida, so it's very big on small businesses down here. So it was thriving. It was a flourishing business. So I would use Fiverr to kind of just, hire someone to do a brochure design for me or a business card, like things I didn't like doing, I would just hire on Fiverr. So I was very familiar with the marketplace. And then in 2016, my husband and I were like, yay, we're freelancers. We can do whatever we want. We were making such good money. So we decided to try something new, and we left Florida and we moved to Colorado to be in the mountains, experience snow. Mistake. That did not do well. This was pre-Zoom. So working remote was just non-existent. I mean, it was so difficult back then in 2016. So when I moved, all of my clients didn't renew. I tried to get clients there, but it's not a small business area. It's more franchise based. So it was really difficult. And it came to a point where I was slowly just losing clients. And I realized, I saw the writing on the walls, and I was like, okay, this is the end of my web design career. What else can I do so that I could still work from home? We were wanting to start a family soon. And I was like, oh, I'm already a buyer. Let me just set up a gig for $5, whatever. Maybe I'll make a couple $100 a week and it'll be great. And so I pulled out this dusty old mic that I had used to record some voicemail greetings for clients. It was like a $60 Amazon mic. And I literally in the movies, pulled it out and blew off the dust. And I was like, let's do it. And I plugged it in and I was like, this should be the easiest thing to do. So I created a voiceover gig, and I did not expect much. I was literally thinking I would just make a couple $100. I set my gig really, really, really low, $5. And within 2 weeks, I woke up one morning and had 20 orders in my queue. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it just kept filling up. It kept filling up. I got my first 5 reviews, 10 reviews, 20 reviews. And I kept it at that price for as long as I could to just rack up those reviews. And I looked at my husband and I was like, okay, I think this is my main drive. I was not making a ton of money. I was making a lot less than I did with my web design work, but it allowed me to pay my bills. It allowed me to stay home. And then we started wedding planning, and then kind of life just took its course. So in the beginning, you're working a lot and you're making very little, because you're going to start out at a very, very low price just to get those reviews in, because it's very review based. Just like a lot of you guys, like they may place the order, but they're going to give you a review and a tip if you have a lot of reviews already, if you're doing good work. So with Fiverr, it is very, very heavily based on having good reviews and having 5-star reviews. And then the more reviews you have, the more it builds up your portfolio. So if somebody allows their work that you delivered to be added to your portfolio to showcase the work you can deliver, you're just going to get even more work, you know?
So Arbel,
So
what do the
Mhm.
numbers look like in that beginning time? So you're doing like what kind of, so you had a voiceover gig. So you would charge, was it $5 for,
Yeah. So, and I'm so sorry. Of course, the lawn guys are here. I hope you guys don't hear
no,
it.
it's fine.
So let me know if you hear it. And so for voiceovers, it's different. So every category has its own kind of base price. For voiceovers, you're starting out at $5 a gig. For 200 words, that's where I was starting. 200 words is about, let's say 2 paragraphs of text. I'm sorry. Is it getting really loud?
No, you're good. I can't hear it at all. So I think you're fine.
Oh, that's, see, power of the Shure microphone.
There you
So you're starting out at like really low just to get those reviews in. And then what I did was, instead of increasing my prices, I would lower how much I offered. So I would bring that down to 150 words for $5. And then I got kind of settled at 100 words for $5 for voiceovers. 100 words is like less than a paragraph. I mean, it's like a couple sentences. It's very easy. It takes very little time. But
So
don't
how long
forget
does it take you to record one of those
Yeah.
sessions? Yeah.
Maybe 3 minutes.
Okay.
And then to edit it is another minute. So I would say no more than 15 minutes at most for a base $5 gig. And then don't forget, Fiverr takes 20% of that. So you're actually only making $4 for that order. So a lot of people, when they're looking at Fiverr to become a seller, they look at that and they're like, oh my God, that is not worth it. But that's just starting. That's just base. So if somebody comes to me and they have 1,000-word script, now we're looking at a bigger ticket order. Do they want background music? Do they want it rushed? You know, all those things are extra. That's literally $5 for just reading that text. That's nothing extra. That's not rushed. That's not background music. So it's very, very, you know, base. Now with video work that I do UGC, which is like TikTok videos for brands.
What
That
does UGC
starts
stand for?
user generated content. So it just means that a brand will send me their product. I have like a whole pile of boxes I need to do. And they're like, okay, we want you to showcase this product in your kitchen and how you would use it from a user generated perspective. So I would create a TikTok. That gig, that category starts at a minimum of $30. So every gig has its kind of like base price, and then you work it up from there. So that starts at 30. Now, a year later, I'm at $75 and I'm about to raise that to 95. So you grow as you get more and more reviews. But the beginning, we're looking at, you know, we're looking at very little, but I've had some sellers tell me that they started very little, they're working a lot, and they're making $1,000 a month from home, you know, just through Fiverr. So it really depends on the category, how fast you deliver, so many different factors, but it can start low. It will. It will start low and slow.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it's important to think about how it starts in the beginning, but then how potentially it can grow. So let's and then you started getting into some of those, the kind of the tips about how to grow, and we'll get into that. But
Okay.
first, Dilo, how much can one make starting as an Uber driver?
Yes, so it definitely depends on a lot of different things. It depends on the location and how many hours you put into it. if you're in areas, say like the Valley, you may not make as much as you would if you go to West Hollywood or or downtown. So if you stay out for maybe 6 to 8 hours, you can make anywhere from like $100 to $150. And if you do,
Mhm.
anything beyond 7 or 8 hours, I've made like 170 before in a day. So yeah, it really varies. It's just, what you put into it is what you get. And again, like I said, depending on the areas of where you're at in LA, definitely matters.
So the area, that's part of the strategy is to
Yes.
figure out where you're going to work. And when Judith, you were talking about like when, before we got on, you were talking about when is the best time for Uber Eats. You were talking about Saturday morning. Before that, Judith, how much can one make with Uber Eats?
You can make as much as you want to make, as much as you're willing to put time into with Uber Eats. For me, I only want to do 2 hours a day, and it really is just when I feel like it. I live in the suburbs. I live in the South Bay, so it's not a popping place, but we do have. I live near Torrance, so that's like pretty much my main area. I usually set a goal for myself for $35 a day, and I'll just stay with me with this. Again, it's just for me to pay my little bills. But here's how it grows. So I can usually do $35, 2 hours, 11 to 2, I'm good and I'm done because I'm usually like so tired. But if I do like a Saturday morning, like I was telling everyone, I found that if I go out Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning, I get a lot. I'm like busy. I could basically make $100 if I just stayed in my car until 3, which I'm not going to do. But like this Saturday, for example, that's because I'm doing people's errands on Saturdays. I'm doing their grocery shopping, or I'm delivering their groceries. Or there's they need you to pick up the water for the sports team. So if I do a Sunday, which is very rare, I do a lot of church deliveries, donuts, to things like that. But in terms of like money, it all depends on where you work, how far you're willing to go, because that with Uber Eats, it's about distance. That's how you make your money. The longer the drive, the more money you make, and then of course tips, but that's a whole other topic. So it depends on the areas you want to work. Again, I just want to stick in my area where I know everything, I know everywhere. I don't want to go outside my community. However, I have done it on the weekends. Back when I first started, I would go downtown, and that's like money, 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 if you're smart about it. Because when you go into the high, I'll call them high traffic areas, there's other issues you have to factor in, such as parking, going into these high-rise complexes, which can be very complex. So again, you can make as much money. If you can set a goal for $200 a day with Uber, and you can do it, but you're going to work for it. You're not going to be in one area. You're going to be all over town. You're going to be using gas. And I also say, really, you want to make $220, depending on your car. Like for my car, I would have to make $200, I have to make $220 because I have to factor in $20 for gas. And then, because I always do, when I go out, I'm like, I don't really make any money until after I've made $20. That's when I start making money, because the $20 has to go to my gas. Because with Uber Eats, in order to get deliveries, you have to drive around in different areas. I have a loop. I just go on, again, I'm in the Torrance area. We have Hawthorne, which is the main roadway, and which has the malls and which has lots of restaurants. I just do a loop, I just do a loop until I get pinged, do my delivery wherever I deliver. If it's far away, I go out of the app until I get back to my starting point, because I don't want to be, the app will take you. So let's say I picked up an order in Torrance and I had to deliver to Palos Verdes, made my delivery. If I don't turn off my app, then it'll take me further into Palos Verdes, maybe a restaurant in San Pedro or something. I don't want to do that. So I just turn it off and go back to my starting point. So strategy is the name of the game in terms of how much money. But yes, you can, if you're willing to do it full time, you could probably make 150, 200. If you're in a busy area, you can definitely make $200. If you're willing to work all day and be in your car all day, yes, you can do it. If you just want to do it, you're a mom, or you're like me, just an entrepreneur just trying to make a few extra dollars, and you just want to stick to your neighborhood, yeah, you can. And now and I'm sorry to be going on, but there's one other way that kind of boosts your income there. Apparently, with Uber Eats, they have to pay you a percentage of what you've earned from the prior week. Their week is Monday to Monday. So they have to actually pay you a percentage of what you made the prior week. So you are getting, it's sort of like if I made $200, I may get $100 the following week, just because from Uber, not having to do anything. So that increases my pay. And you are, it is not taxed. The Uber money is not taxed. You are responsible. You are an independent contractor. You are responsible for your own taxes. So you just get straight cash. And then you have to take care of that on your own. They don't take taxes out. They do when you cash out, and we can talk about that later when we talk more about the benefits. They take like a percentage. It's like, I can't remember exactly, but it's like a few cents off of what you're cashing out. But I've talked too much. I'm gonna let someone else talk.
Sabrina, you're next. And so we'll pivot to, first of all, how much money can you make on Instacart? And then, we've all started talking about strategies about how to be successful at your gig. So Sabrina, what kind of money can you make on Instacart? And what would you say are like maybe 2 or 3 of top strategies that one should think about right away, even before starting Instacart, like thinking about, this is for me because these strategies work for me?
Okay, well, for how much you can make, like everyone's pretty much said, is how much work you put into it. But I'm a numbers girl, so I need to know some numbers, like how much the least amount you can make, because Instacart goes by your orders and how in each order you can have 3 batches, and these batches means the stops that you do. And Instacart is where you not only do you shop, you deliver. So you're going in the store, so you're getting paid for like the whole entire thing. So the least I've ever made by doing Instacart was $15. And if I'm getting paid $15, it usually means that I have one batch and I may be picking up 15 to 10 items, which I know really I'm really good at stores. So I'm pretty much in and out of there within less than maybe 15, 20 minutes. And I'm dropping it off. And you also want to factor in your mileage, because it usually lets you know how long the whole entire trip. So if I'm getting paid $15, that means I can probably get done with the whole thing in 45 minutes. That's the least I've ever made. And then you go off. Now, if you got 3 batches, you can make 30, 40. I've even made $65 in one batch, but that was a 2-hour thing. And I was at Costco's and I was doing all that. So it's all about where you're at and how many batches and how many. So your strategy really is going to go about the type of person that you are and what you want to do. For me, if you I want to make some money, I need well, then I suggest you go to Costco, Sam's Clubs, because those are where the bigger orders are. That's where I made my $65 in less than 2 hours, hour and a half. But you also got to factor in Costco's and Sam's Clubs are hardware stores, are those bulk stores. So you got to factor in, you may be delivering 8 cases of water, of 40 things of water. You may be delivering, bulk items. You're making sure that you can fit all the things that are in your car. So those are things you want to factor in. But if you got it like an SUV, or you know how to push everything into a small Prius, then you can make that work. Do what you got to do. But I've seen people do a lot, so you can make it work, but just know that you want to put that into factor. So that's a big strategy. And then another thing I would say, for me personally, I like to shop in the suburbs. I like to shop kind of like around when I do, I usually pick a store that's close to my house and that's really busy. And I just kind of park in the parking lot and wait till I get pings, because the thing about Instacart is if you just park in a shopping lot, you're going to find something, because somebody's always going to be doing some type of grocery store or something. So that's another thing. And the reason why I like the suburbs, because I don't like delivering to apartments. I don't like walking up 4 or 5 steps, delivering somebody's 2 weeks or months worth of groceries. I factor that in, so I don't like doing that.
I was gonna say, you brought us 12 cases of water to have to to lug 12 cases of water up to somebody's third floor walk up. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Don't want to do that. So if you're not, you just, those are things you just that might not be an issue for some people if you're getting paid really good. And sometimes people tip you well, and sometimes they don't. Got to kind of factor that in too. But so I just like doing the suburbs because it's usually a healthy balance. And if they do get cases of water, they're getting one, maybe two. They're not getting 5 or 6. But I will say, if you are just want to in and out and you know your city very well, if you get into like downtown or very like more cities that are a little bit more compact, those deliveries are usually smaller because it's usually a bachelor pad or somebody. It's not a family living in a house. So they're not, even if they give you a week worth of the groceries, it's probably like 3 or 4, maybe 5 bags. You don't have to worry about 25 million bags because somebody's feeding their family of 5 versus somebody feeding just them and their dog. So it's like, it's a little bit different and you can make really good money. I do find myself getting better tips when I go downtown or in the city like that because they do understand that the parking sucks. That's the reason why they're doing Instacart, because they don't want to deal with the parking. They don't want to deal with the traffic. So they usually tip better. But if you don't, for me, I don't like traffic and I don't like headaches. So it's not worth my mental space. So that's why I do suburbs. But those are pretty much my like quick little strategies, something to factor in.
thanks, Sabrina. And Dilo, you mentioned, oh, Judith, did you have something?
I just wanted to add that
Mhm.
Uber Eats has something similar to Instacart that they let you do. It's called Shop and Pay. They basically have to sign up for it and they send you like a debit card. And so basically what it is, you'll get the order and you have to go to the grocery store and it'll give you a list as to shop and you shop the list and then the money is put on the debit card when you check out. And they even have it where they have like the if the store has those discount plans and all that stuff, everything. They have everything for you. And I did it Saturday. I had a 40 item order. I made $23. It took me an hour to do all of this stuff and just deliver it to you right around the corner. So that was, and she tipped me well. So I actually like doing those. You get paid more doing the Shop and Pay.
So that's paying attention to those programs is a
Mhm.
good idea because these gig platforms often have special kind of incentive programs or different kind of ways to make money. So we were getting, oh, yeah, please.
Well, now that you said the word incentive, they do have other incentives. Like you can get double your whatever the delivery order is if you do. They have like promotional periods and promotional locations, and they have like a whole little tab where you go and see. For me, it's not something I would pursue because it's usually like if you go out and deliver between midnight and 7 a.m. or something like that, some weird hours, or sometimes it's area based, but you can like make double. So if you pick up a delivery that's a $5 delivery, it's actually going to be a $10 delivery. So they do have a lot of incentives.
All right, let's move to Dilo. What are some strategies? And we talked about already location, but what are some other strategies for doing well on Uber?
Yes, time matters for sure. What I've learned just in a few months that I've been driving Uber, it's either better to drive super early in the morning or late after rush hour has died down. Because if you get stuck in traffic around 2, 3, 4, 5,
no.
you are going to regret it. Like a simple 10-mile drive can literally be 45 minutes. And it's like, who wants to sit in that? And the pay isn't really, compensated enough for that. So definitely getting up and driving super early is a go-to, or driving like I would say after 6:30. And you can still get some good rides even at night because people are out,
Is it not premium pricing with Uber if you are doing like during traffic time? Because like what Uber driver would want to like work during that time? I just don't
Right.
get that. But
Yeah, they
premium, right?
Yes, so they do have incentives. They have boosts. So sometimes you can get like an additional $150 to $350 for a ride.
Okay.
Yeah. So and it'll
During
be
busier
like,
times.
yeah. So it may say from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. you'll get extra $350, or from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. you get an extra $250 or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, and they have they'll show you on the maps where it's like a high surge. Some areas, like sometimes in Beverly Hills or in like South Central, sometimes the surge is up to like, I've seen $7, extra for a ride, or, even $9, but you know, you're
Oh,
going to work
wow.
for it. Like you just say, like you're going to work for it. So
Yeah.
So
and
I'm
it's-
curious, do you work the airport at all, or
no, I
No.
do not work the airport.
Why is
The airport is
that?
tough.
The
Yeah.
airport is a lot. LAX is not easy to get
Oh,
through. And I just would rather not, you know.
There's
yeah.
always construction, it's
Yes,
traffic.
and
People
like
are just
Sabrina
doing all
said, you
kinds
gotta
of
keep your
weird
mental
things.
intact. Yeah.
I have a question. So like when you're driving and you are in traffic and you're just sitting there, do you have conversations with the passengers, or do they usually just like don't want to be talked to? Like what's the norm for like,
And how
I
do
feel
you
like I
know?
would right, I would feel like this pressure to like talk about something like, did you watch, Vanderpump Rules or whatever?
I know, right? So many thoughts. For me, I kind of majority of the time I wear a mask. So
Oh, okay.
for me, like sometimes if I don't feel like talking, the mask is my saving grace. Like I'm
Nice.
always
That's a
nice.
good idea.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm always nice, of course, when they get into the car, and, ask, hey, how are you doing? And then some of my passengers, they'll keep going and we'll have a conversation the entire ride, which is totally fine. But
Okay.
if we are stuck in traffic, I always have a great playlist. I play a lot of like jazz music, nice. Just soothing music because this traffic is crazy. So, just making it comfortable for them. But sometimes, I may break the silence and say, how's your day going? Again, even though I've already asked, but
you have to be practicing your skits though, right? Like
oh,
you have to
absolutely.
be
In my
practicing.
head, this is all material. This is
right.
all
Like,
material.
okay, let me see how this one goes with the response. My husband loves stand-up comedy. And when I told him that I was going to be talking with a stand-up comedian, he was like, you have to ask her if she practices her skits with the passengers and stuff. That's so cool.
It's all material, trust me. And they love it when I tell them I'm a stand-up comic. They're like, oh my God, I've even had some people come to my show. So it's been really cool. It's been a great experience. Definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
I have a question for Sabrina. Sorry, Oleg. I read somewhere that there's like a waiting list for it. How easy is it to sign on to Instacart? Because don't some of them have like waiting lists or something like that?
It's just depending on your region. When I originally started, I was living in Las Vegas at the time, and they didn't have any, like that was like 2017, 18. Like Instacart just started. So they didn't even have any, it wasn't even in Vegas. So, but then when I moved to Austin, Texas, and Texas is like, especially Austin is like basically the Silicon Valley of down south. Like it's like everything is tech there, right? Tesla's down there now. So so yeah, I was signed on right away with it. And they also, always give like a promotion for signing on. And so there was no waiting. But in the beauty I love about Instacart. So when I was in Texas, I was driving, it was good. And then now I'm back in Vegas. I'm still able to drive in Vegas with Instacart. So I can take my job wherever I go on vacation. So one thing about it, so you may sign up in this particular, because it's where you are, but do know that if you do move, you can take your job with you and you can take your gig wherever you go. And it's kind of cool to see the different places where they pay different and how the tip and go. But I will say that there are promotions, but the promotions are based on where you are. Like in Austin, there was always so many promotions because it's very popular out there. But in Vegas, there's not as much promotion, but there was also promotions when I was living in Los Angeles. So it's just all depending on where you are. So
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Arbella, I want to get into the tips about Fiverr, but before that, we had a question in the chat, and I really want to throw it out to the folks who are doing the driving, and that says, how does the wear and tear in your car factor into what you get paid? Is that something that's like extra, or is that you just pay attention yourself? And
everybody was like, yes.
I just spent $500 repairing my car 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It does, you do have to maintain your car. You need to make sure you have oil. I always get my tires, every week I'm at the tire place making sure that they're good. And then all the other little things, spark plugs, whatever. It's very smart of you to maintain your car because you're driving around. In my instance, I'm driving up and down hills, cliffs, even.
Palos Verdes.
That's a lot. That's a lot on your car. So that's very, very important. And unfortunately, these apps do not contribute to the upkeep of these cars. You are solely on your own. This is an independent gig. This is you. You are a business owner.
Yep.
So your phone, your business, your phone,
You're just using their platform.
yeah, you're just using their platform. And like Sabrina said, the great thing is you can, once you get on these platforms, like I can do Uber Eats, I can go to Florida and do Uber Eats. I'm on the app. So, I can do it anywhere I want. If I want to make a quick $20, I can do it. But you are responsible for your business, and this is your business. So you are responsible for your gas. You are responsible for your insurance, and you have to have insurance. And they do check. They do make you upload your documents. You are responsible for, if you get a parking ticket because you decided to park in the red zone just so you can go make do a quick delivery, drop off something real quick, that's on you. That's not on them. So you have to. This is a business. And you're gonna have to take responsibility for everything.
So whatever you said, like that $20 on gas, you also, for every time you drive, you gotta think about like $5 or whatever it is, just off the top of before you really start making money because of the car wear and tear.
Right. Or I'll just say today, whatever I make today is going towards car maintenance.
Now,
Yeah.
can I ask a question about that? Do you guys have an LLC as well, so you can expense the gas that it was for work and, your car insurance and all that?
Great. I don't, because I don't take it that seriously, but that's a great idea, and maybe I should.
So my
I think if
husband,
I
when
were doing it like full time and really working it, and like that's all I wanted to do, and then I would do that. But I don't, I have
Yeah.
a business still. So
yeah. Well, when
Great
my husband
idea.
was
Great
doing
suggestion.
DoorDash, we expensed all the gas through the company, and we expensed our car insurance as well. I mean, you have to check with your CPA, but it is for work. So really, it's for your independent. You get a 1099. You're not working for a company. So you're going to get some expenses for that. But anyway, it's just a thought that if you have that, because that
Great idea.
helps at the end of the year. Yeah.
Great idea.
Sorry.
So are there thoughts on wear and tear, Dilo, Sabrina? Or I think did you just cover it pretty much?
Yeah, she covered it.
Right,
It makes
just
sense.
Be mindful. Yeah, that's why I only do it like 2 days a week or 3 times a week. Because when I did do it for like an entire week, I saw how many miles I put on my car. I was like, no, thank you. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, just be
Yeah.
mindful.
Yeah.
So Arbel, let's talk about strategies for succeeding with Fiverr.
Yeah. First of all, that's amazing. You guys are like just killing it. Like you guys know the ins and out. I feel like there's so many other tricks that I want to like ask you about, but but yeah, with Fiverr, a lot of times that's what people are most reluctant about is like, well, how can I get my first order if my gig has 0 reviews and all these people next to me have hundreds or thousands of reviews, so there's that mindset, and I get that. Fiverr does such an amazing job of filtering in new sellers onto the first page, and they'll actually highlight them like rising talent. They'll give you badges if you're really like up and up. There's a couple things. One is setting your prices a little bit low. 2, having your gig just like fully optimized. I call it optimization, which is where you have your intro video, you have some pictures, your gig description is filled out, like you're using every single component of a gig that they allow you to fill in. You are filling that up to the max. So if you're brand new or you have some experience with whatever that service is that you're going to offer, showcase that in your gig. Like, even though you're new on Fiverr, you may not be new to this space, from so many years of experience. So I always say leverage what you've learned in outside of Fiverr to put into your gig. The most important thing is having a really good intro video. So even if you're brand spanking new, you're offering a brand new service, come up on your video, you have like a minute to introduce yourself, create an intro video that people want to buy from you. They want to buy your service from Arbel or from Judith or from Dilo or Sabrina, like they want to buy from you versus just the service you're offering. So if you can showcase your personality and your professionalism and relation, you know, have a relationship with these buyers, they're going to be more apt to purchase from you. Because if you think about it from a buyer perspective, you know, if I'm a buyer and I want to buy a service for web design or graphic design, I want to get to know, like, I want to know that this person is who they say they are. Like, you know, I'm working with Judith. She's going to, you know, be good with me. She's going to respond to my questions whenever I need it. So if you can showcase that a little bit in your intro video, it doesn't matter if you don't have reviews, they're going to take a chance on you. The other thing is that Fiverr, what's so amazing, another thing is that even though buyers pay upfront, so they have to pay first, that money gets held within Fiverr. It does not go to the seller. It gets held right there in between you guys. The seller completes the work, delivers it, and then that money gets held in escrow for 2 weeks. So either party, the seller will always get paid, and the buyer has a chance to cancel the order if something went wrong and get all of their money back. So even if they take a chance on a new seller, they're not really losing anything because they could always cancel and get that money back. So there's that security. And I always encourage all of my new sellers to say that, you know, if somebody is messaging you and they're like, well, I don't know, you don't have any reviews, say, listen, I will give you the best work that I can. And if for whatever reason something doesn't work out, you can always cancel and get the money back if it's truly not what you wanted, but I'm going to make my best effort to give you what you want, you know? So that's one. And then again, you know, responding to messages right away, that's a big factor. Making sure that your response rate, Fiverr takes that into consideration, how fast you can respond to messages. So if you're taking 4 hours to respond, you're going to get pushed down. You're not going to get up on the first page. If you can respond within 1 hour of a message coming through, Fiverr will start to boost your gig. And a lot of times people will say like, well, how can I, you know, I have a full-time job or I'm doing other things. How can I respond right away? Fiverr allows you to have quick responses. So you could have drafted templates that you just plug in, edit a little bit and send it off. So those are all those little factors. And I really have a course that breaks all of this down so that you can be the most successful that you can be. I've seen brand new Fiverr accounts, like brand new. They created their account today. They became a seller today, get their first order in 5 weeks. So it takes a little bit of time, but once you start getting messages and orders, it doesn't really stop. It just like, once it picks up, it picks up. So especially if you're responding right away. So the first couple weeks takes a little bit of time, but then it just kind of starts, you know, steamrolling from there.
Arbel, can you just give like a 2-sentence description of what Fiverr is? Because there's a few people out there who have never heard of it. I mean, a lot of people have heard of Uber Eats, Instacart, Uber,
Yes.
but Fiverr is a little bit different. So
Yeah. I get that question a lot. Fiverr is just a freelance marketplace. So if you've ever heard of Upwork or People Per Hour, it's just a marketplace where buyers and sellers come together to sell, you know, to buy and sell freelance services. So graphic design, logo design, video editing, like anything you need digitally for your business, you could go onto Fiverr and find a freelancer to do it for you at an affordable rate and get it done fairly quickly. So Fiverr is what's so unique about Fiverr, and it's the only one of its kind. Upwork is where, you know, let's say a business needs a business card designed. So they'll put their job description on the platform and say, okay, I need as many freelancers to apply for this job as possible. I need a business card. So then you have all these freelancers that start pitching to this one job. So as a freelancer, you have to spend a lot of time looking for those job postings. Fiverr flips it and creates it as a marketplace like Amazon, where you wouldn't contact an Amazon seller asking about their product, right? Like you would look at the reviews and then purchase the product. That's how Fiverr creates it. They make it like a product marketplace, but for services. So what that allows is the seller to have the upper hand. So like once you create a gig, your gig is like your product, and then sellers just search for you and find you, and they're like, oh, okay, I like what she has. I like her portfolio. I like her reviews. I'm going to place an order. And they can place an order right on my gig page. So that's what Fiverr is. It's 100. It's Fiverr, Fiverr, like right there. It's 100% free to become a seller. So you don't need to pay any kind of money to set up your gigs or talk to buyers. It's 100% free. And new sellers can create 7 services or 7 gigs. And then Fiverr will take 20% after you complete the order. I know compared to Uber Eats and all that, that's a high percentage. 20% is like pretty high. But when you factor in that you don't have to pitch to brands, you don't have to pay anything for marketing, buyers come to you from all over the world. It's a global marketplace. They've been around since 2010. So they've been around for a long time. They had a spike during COVID. And now that we're talking about it, you're probably going to see ads for it. They advertise on YouTube and on TV, and they're just, they're doing the marketing for you. I just sit back and do the work and get messages and do the work. So 20% seems like a lot, but when you factor in all the things you don't have to pay for, it's actually pretty decent. Yeah.
So one of those things you don't have to pay for is safety. And there was a question in the
Exactly.
chat about Judith. So I'm going to say the question, and Judith, you can add what you wanted to add. There's a question about for the delivery drivers, how safe do you feel driving around, and do you know the destination of where you're going when you accept a ride or delivery? So let's first, Judith, you can say what you're going to say and then get that question.
No, I just wanted to express that I have, as a business owner, I have used Fiverr probably since 2010 when they first launched. An excellent platform where basically if you have a need, and even if you don't have a business, maybe you need someone to do a resume for you or to proofread or
Logo
maybe
design.
or maybe there's a photo of your grandma that you really love, but it's ruined. It's kind of in bad shape and you want someone to what do they call it?
Touch it up.
Touch it up.
Yep.
Anything you can possibly think of at any price, really, you can find that service on Fiverr. And they have people from around the world on service, people from around the world. I use it all the time. I love it. Okay, to the safety issue, that is, as a driver, that is very important to me. That's why I prefer to stay in my little comfort zone in my community that I know. I don't like, when you accept the order, you don't necessarily know where you're going to go. You don't know where you're going to go until after you've picked up the order.
Oh.
So once you have picked up the order and you say confirm pickup or whatever, that's when they give you the address to where you're going. And I always kind of like, I look at that, and if it's in my area, no problem. But you do have the option to cancel. Like, for example, I picked up something at Walmart and I just picked it up. This is how I picked it up, said, okay, got my car, had all the stuff in my car. And then I start driving, letting the app take me to where I'm going. I went from Torrance to Compton to South LA. And I said, never, ever, ever again. So that was like crazy for $20. Insane.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So now I do pay attention. I will not leave the area until I see where I'm going. And if it's too far, then I'll just kindly take the items back into the store. I haven't had to do that yet, but that's what I will do. Take it back in the store and say, I can't do this, cancel the order, and let Uber know. But that is something you need to pay attention to. They don't let you know until you've confirmed pickup where you're going. So you can kind of tell how far of a distance, like when you accept the order, it'll kind of say like how many minutes it's expected. So you can kind of get an idea. But that's kind of one of the downsides of Uber Eats for me. Now, I read somewhere that in certain areas, certain states, they do let you know in advance where you're going. But in California, or at least in Los Angeles, I haven't seen it. So I pay attention to that now because, I'm not just going to any kind of area. Like when I went to South LA, it was not in the best part of South LA, and there's no place to park. And she wanted me to go up 3 flights of stairs. I'm like, no. I just said, look, your stuff is down here. I'm not leaving my car. I'm not going up any stairs. And then the other thing is, sometimes when you're delivering, it's like, oh, I'll just it's right there at the door. The house is right there. I'll just go run up. They actually send you texts about carjackings and things like that, and to be safe. Don't leave your car running when you're making a delivery. I would add, don't leave your purse. Like I carry a purse. Who would, you think, oh, I'll just leave it here. No, I make sure either my purse is on me or it's in my trunk. I never leave my car unlocked. Even sometimes you'll have multiple orders on a delivery. So you're making one delivery and then you're going to another, well, and you have another order in the car. You got to make sure those doors are locked. So
wow.
again, yeah, you need to just be mindful, and you're going to have to take responsibility for yourself. You can't, if you're not familiar with an area, or if you don't particularly like that area, then you have to cancel the order. Don't take that order. Keep your doors locked at all times. Don't run out and leave your car, the motor running and the car open, and then your car gets stolen. So, be practical, safety first. And then also the hours that you work. I don't work. I only do 11 to 2. That's it. I'm in the afternoon, 11 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. I'm not doing things at night. I'm not going out at night. As a woman, I don't feel comfortable going to a stranger's house at night.
Yeah.
So Sabrina, is there any safety issues with Instacart? I mean, anything that you think about in that regard?
Well, I have a couple of things I want to say. One, I
Mhm.
want to ask Fiverr. I want to ask a question for that. But for the
Yes.
safety thing, I'm gonna say Instacart. That's why I liked Instacart, because I tried other apps before. I feel a little bit safer in, because when you do pick up an order, it's gonna let you know how many miles away. It's gonna even let you know kind of a vicinity, and sometimes it even let you know if it's a business or a house. So you kind of know a little bit more of where you're
Okay.
going. When I was in Texas, it actually kind of gave me more of an address, like gave me more of a detail of a location. And I do notice with Instacart now, the more you drive, like you get to like all the way to the Gold member, they give you more perks and incentives and kind of let you know, but like they'll give you even more better batches and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
so when it comes to safety, you'll of course use your common sense the same way you would treat your car if you were doing anything. You want to treat your car when you're, driving. Of course, keep your doors locked, keep your purse on, don't have your key card running, keep your keys on you and stuff like that. But luckily for me, wherever I do my Instacart, I go into neighborhoods that I personally know, feel safe, grew up, raised, know people in the
Nice.
area. So I go to the same grocery store, know the people there. So it's a little bit different because Instacart, I feel like you have a little bit more of control of what you want to do. You kind of know what stores, because it'll let you know, like there's some stores available at Smith's, or that's for me, or that's like a Kroger's brand. They'll let you know there's some stores available at Sam's Club. Like you see the list of what's available, what you can choose from, and it lets you know how much you're going to get paid. So, or how much you can get up to pay. Like this is where it's at right now. So you kind of already know what you're doing. They don't just give it to you. You pick and choose which order and which batch you want to choose, and you can kind of see what vicinity, where it's going, and all that kind of stuff. So
That's
that is
really
a very
cool.
good. That's a good
Yeah.
perk, but the only downside about it, so like say you pick up an order and it's for $32 and it's 2 batches. So that means you're gonna go and do drop off at 2 different locations after you're done shopping. But if the customer for whatever reason feels like they want to take away their tip completely, they can do that. And I've had that happened before, like, and you didn't even do anything wrong. And another thing that I find that a bit, if you do have uh, a customer that you just didn't really like, you know, like the location, they just kind of give you the creepy vibes, you cannot block that person like in other apps.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
that's the thing that I don't like about Instacart. You cannot block a customer. And if you in that, I feel like
wow.
Instacart can do better as protecting their shoppers on that part. But other than that, that's for that. But for the Fiverr question that I wanted to ask real quick about, I know you said that you can have up to 7 gigs. So that can be 7 completely different things. Like you can do voiceover, and then say you have the 7 different gigs. Can it be different tiers, or that's just what it is? Like that's your 7 gigs. That's what you do.
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, that's really cool about Instacart. I didn't realize you had that kind of control. That's really cool. And I think they could do a better job at like blocking certain buyers. You can do that on Fiverr. If you get a buyer that's just like you're like, nope, never, block, done, never want to see them again.
Right.
I've only had that happen a handful of times, but that would be really nice for them to add. Yeah, you can. So Fiverr accounts part of their terms of service, you're only allowed one account per IP address. So let's
Okay.
say you want to have your husband or your kids are of age, or even like I have my kids as a gig for they're 5 and 3, and I review toy products and a lot of toy things. I'll do video content with them in it, which is super cool. We've gotten some really, really cool products from it.
That's
But anyway, yeah, you can have other people have their own gig, but so why that leads into your 7 gigs, it's not niche specific. As long as your account is for your household, you can have 7 gigs for whatever category you want. You want to do copywriting, you want to do video editing, you could be in any category. Each gig functions independently. Your account obviously wants to be in good standing. Like if you have negative marks a lot, your account may be affected as a whole, but each gig ranks independently. And then as you become the next level, so you start out as a new seller, no level, then you get to level 1. Level 1 can have, I think, 10 or 15 gigs. And then level 2, I can have up to 20. So like right now I have 11 gigs. And then as a top rated seller, you can have 30 gigs. And then, yeah, so like at each level, you can add more and more services. And I always recommend that, because sometimes you'll have a gig that like, you know, like you guys, you'll have like slow periods. You'll have like days where things are just slow. Like that's with any business. So with your gig, you may have a gig that's going through a slow spurt, and then, you know, you may have your other gig that's like being pushed up and that gig is doing well. So that's how you balance continual work. I didn't realize that until last year when I created my UGC gig, because I was just doing voiceover. So like whenever it would go slow, I would like really feel it. I'm like, oh my God, where's my next, you know, order going to come in? Like I need to make money next week, you know, so that would be like really stressful. But so once you create more and more gigs in different categories, you're now able to reach, you know, be exposed to more and more buyers throughout the platform, and even creating similar gigs. Like I have a UGC gig. I have 4 similar UGC gigs, you know, just so that I can reach more people in different subcategories. So there are hundreds of categories on Fiverr. It's incredible. And the handout that Ole will be sending out to all the attendees is I created an 18 Fiverr gig ideas. So I've broken down like 18 gigs ideas that you could look at from beginner to expert skill set, and then a breakdown of all the categories so that you can get a little bit more familiar with, you know, what kind of categories are offered on Fiverr and where you could set up your skill set. You know, do you not have any kind of digital skill? Maybe you can be a VA. A VA is somebody a virtual assistant who answers emails, does a lot of admin work for people. That's a really popular category now. So there's a huge range. You don't have to be certified. You don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have, you know, an Adobe certification or whatever to create a gig in that. If you're just good at it and you offer good customer service, create a gig. So yeah.
Oh, wow.
Thanks,
Kevin, one quick question. So
Yeah.
say you have your voiceover, you UGC, whatever. So like for your voiceover, can you have different set prices? Like you did the 100, was it 100 words or whatever for $5, but this is still under the voiceover. Then you have 300 words for $10 or whatever. Like you set the prices, and then in your UGC you can set different prices for that.
Yes.
Or will those things all be considered different gigs?
All
Or
different
no,
gigs.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So each gig, so I actually created as well a free ebook, which is called my gig optimization ebook. And I go over like how to price yourself in whatever category you're in for each gig. Each gig needs to have its own research to see what people are charging. I always recommend you don't want to be the cheapest on the page. You just want to be cheaper on the page. So being cheaper than the people who have a lot of reviews is going to get you that work. Being the cheapest means you're attracting really low quality buyers that are probably going to haggle you for $5. Like I've dealt with buyers when I had my $5 gig, and let's say their word count comes to 150, right? So I charge $5 for 100 words. 150, now that goes to so it's increments of 5. So that's technically now $10. But then I would have buyers come on and be like, well, but it's only 50 more words. Can you give it to me for $5? And I'm like, really? Like, we're talking about like $8 at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So like, no, that is $10. I'm sorry to break it to you. So by being the cheapest on the page, you're going to attract those kind of buyers. And I have been haggled left and right. I mean, any business you run, you're going to be haggled by some people. You know, they're going to try and get the best price out of you. So that's why I suggest not being the cheapest, because man, you'll get people that like, really, it's $5. Like, give me a break. Can I get the $4, you know?
Hang on,
Yeah.
I wanna just jump in because Adila didn't get a chance to talk about safety in Uber, and I feel like that's a
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
big thing.
That's a pretty big thing. Yeah.
And we're also we're getting close to our time. And so I know Judith, you had something. So after Dilo, you had something, and then I want to kind of conclude with a question. And I know there's other questions in the Q&A, but you know, we're getting close to time, and I think this discussion could actually go on
Right.
there's a lot to say about gig work in general, pros and cons and beyond. So
Yes.
Dilo, how do you feel about safety, and what do you do for safety when it comes to being an Uber driver?
Yeah, there's a lot of precautions you definitely need to take. Usually when I get to a destination, my doors are locked until I see you come to the door. I roll my window down and say, you know, who is the ride for? They have to give me the name. I'm not going to give them the name.
Oh, okay.
You know, I like to make eye contact with people, you know, so that I can actually look at their face and recognize them. And, you know, when I get in, if it's at night, I do keep a taser on me and other things. So, I mean, honestly, I just have to protect myself. I am a woman. I do not carry my purse at all in the car. I don't even carry it in the trunk. I only bring like my ID and one of my debit cards. That's it. And
Oh,
I keep
wow.
that on me. Yeah, I do not carry my purse at all. Because sometimes people have things to put in the trunk. And my thing is, if they see my purse in the trunk, you know, God
Oh.
forbid,
Mhm.
they grab it. So yeah, I
Mhm.
don't keep anything valuable in my trunk like at all, you know, worst
Yeah.
case scenario. So and yeah, honestly, you know, just pray for the best at all times. And I don't try to do too many night trips. I do try to be out in the early mornings more because people are going to work. So yeah,
They don't have ill intentions, you know.
I would hope not. Not on
not,
their way
yeah.
to work.
Right?
So,
They want to make it
yeah.
there.
Can I just get you to work, please?
Get you to work, please. So, yeah, it's just, you know, just being mindful of, you know, people. And if I feel something is off, I have no problem canceling a ride if I need to. So,
Okay.
So there's a question in the chat about AI, how the developments in AI have to do with gig work, and I kind of want to ask you that question, but I feel like that's also a whole nother discussion. So where I really want to conclude is e- each of these jobs, you're helping people out. You know, you're doing something that's important, it's rewarding you're doing something good for somebody else. Can you talk a little bit about what, other than just, the flexibility, the making a little extra money, any experiences you had that have shown you that element of reward where, somebody, tips extra, that sort of thing. Go ahead, Judith.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you say that, because I didn't realize how many people are shut in until I started doing this seriously. You have a lot of people, for whatever reason, it could be, health, or their caregivers. I run into a lot of caregivers. And that makes me, I always try, if I do see them, it's very rare that I do see people. Usually I just leave at the door, but when I do see them, I try to smile. So hello, just be friendly, because you don't know what someone's going through. But I have noticed that there's a lot of shut-ins, a lot of seniors, a lot of caretakers of seniors, and they will tip very well. But I want to say something about tips. For all of us, tips are a part of payment, can be a part of payment, I should say. Don't go into this. I know people may see like ads, oh, you can make, XYZ amount of dollars doing Uber Eats, or how to get tips, or news stories about people not picking up orders because they're not going to get a tip. First of all, don't expect a tip. period. Most people tip, some don't. But if you go into it like, well, if I don't get a tip, and then you're going to be angry, and it's
Yeah.
pointless. It's absolutely pointless. Tips are nice, and most people do tip. I find that the people who are shut in or seniors, they'll tip well. And of course, it's all about your attitude. Take care and don't just throw it at the door. If they tell you to leave it at the door, don't just throw it there. Make sure it's in a good spot where, or make sure the food is hot when you get it. They have all these kind of bags and things that you can make
Yeah.
sure that the delivery is hot or cool when they get it. Take pride. If you're shopping for the orders, like that order I did on Saturday, and I had to do all the shopping and produce and all that stuff, I would shop like I would shop for myself. Make sure the produce is right. Make sure, all that. And she gave me a really nice tip because of that. So you don't know what people are going through. You don't know why they're using the service. Make someone's day.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It doesn't hurt you.
Sabrina?
I would say, well, when it comes to the tips, just to add on to that, I will say I'm all about like what you give out, you receive. So if you just treat everybody the same exact way, love, compassion, treat people how you want to be treated, service people how you want to be serviced. So maybe one person don't tip, then you turn around, you get a $25 tip on a $10 order. So it always ends up circulating, it always ends up coming right back. So I don't get caught up on the times where I don't tip. It does kind of hurt, like, dang, what I do? But then it's just like maybe the person just didn't have enough. Who knows? Who knows what's going on in their financial bank account? Don't get so caught up into it. Just get caught up in doing what you need to do in your goals.
Definitely.
Arbel?
Can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, I
I
think we're
got
just
lost
talking
in the
about,
tips.
yeah, the tips is a big thing.
Oh, rewarding.
We're
Feeling
talking about
rewarded.
like,
Feeling
like
rewarded.
where's the situation where you felt like you made somebody's day?
Yeah. So I don't work with people in their homes. I mainly work with businesses. But there's one in particular that stands out to me when I think about that. And that's really helping businesses market themselves. We're in a landscape right now where you're getting fed these ads and these videos all the time. Buy my product, buy my service, ads all the time. And so when you're a new company that's really trying to like push something out that's worthwhile, it can be really hard to break through the noise. So for instance, I had this one order, and it's this mom who created a 4D virtual what is it called? Augmented reality app for kids for flashcards. And these flashcards have an animal on it, and you take the iPad, and with the app, you scan it, and the creature comes out of the card, and you can like interact with the creature in your own environment, like move the camera around, and he's like like the lion's walking in your house and stuff. So cool, like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And she's like, I don't know how to market this. I don't know how to put this out. I don't know what kind of video. So I like really worked hard on creating a video that I thought would go viral and that would bring enough attention, because it was really an amazing product, an amazing app that you could download. You buy the cards and they work specific to these cards. And like my girls were literally like obsessed with it. Like they would touch the beetle, and the beetle would like make noises, and it would talk about the beetle as why they are the way they are or whatever. And you can expand them and make them smaller. So it was like really cool. And so I created these videos, and she was so thankful because she couldn't create those videos, but she created this amazing app and product that really should be in the hands of a lot of kids because it's very educational. And so that was like a really cool project that I was a part of, that I was able to help market, and they launched it on their TikTok account. It's doing pretty well. So she's getting some downloads, she's getting some purchases. So things like that, where I can help businesses kind of showcase what they have to offer in a really light and productive way for them to bring in more orders or sales, or just, look at their account, look at their product. And then as far as, so that's really cool, helping businesses do better and have a better quality voicemail greeting, or, things like that. That's really nice. And then as far as tips, like everybody else said, just delivering high quality work, giving good customer service. You can get tips on Fiverr. Fiverr does take 20% of the tip, but yeah. Yeah, they take 20% of everything. Yeah. So that kind of stinks. But it's still like you'll get a $50 tip sometimes. You'll get like, I've had $100 tip sometimes. So that's pretty cool. So tips are really nice as well if you deliver early and all of that good stuff. Yeah. I think I need to verify that. I'm going to verify that real quick while you guys are talking. Yeah.
Arbel, we had a quick question to the lady
Yeah.
who works for Fiverr. Do you have a camera person assisting you?
Do I have a what? Sorry?
A camera person?
A
Or
camera.
do you film yourself?
Yeah, I film myself. I do all of my
Like a tripod and your phone and stuff like that.
Yep. I've always loved video editing. I do it all on my phone. I have an iPhone 13 Pro Max. And I do all of the video recording as well as the editing on my phone. If you're not good with editing, you could hire a Fiverr seller to do the editing for you. You can outsource, on Fiverr as well. I'm an outsourced seller as well for voiceover work. So I work with a lot of video editors that need a voiceover artist. So they'll outsource that work to me. So it's like a nice community where you can hire people on Fiverr as well. But yeah, I do all the camera work and video editing, but that's for UGC. Like I said, there's so many other categories. If you don't have that skill set or you don't want to learn that skill set, you can do other things. You can do the copywriting or the creative briefing. There's so many ancillary, like ancillary, services when it comes to one gig on Fiverr. So you just got to think outside the box a little bit like, oh, I'd like to do that, but I don't want to do all of the things on that service. Maybe I can offer a gig over here that offers the copywriting or the creative director, things like that. You can create a gig in those different spaces as well.
And can I just add, with user generated content, they don't want perfected. They don't want perfect videos. They want it to be very organic. And so that's the whole point of having a user do it versus so don't worry about if you don't have all the equipment, just use what you have.
Exactly. Yeah. And there are services, I think it's videography and then as well as product photography where they do want the professional looking stuff if you can do that. But yes, UGC is authentic, raw, real. That's the whole idea, is to look like a TikTok video. So yeah.
Sounds good. And Dilo, did you have anything about for, the rewarding element of being an Uber driver?
Honestly, just getting people to their destination safely and me making it home back safely myself. So
yes,
that's fair. That's fair. All right. Before we conclude, I really want to give the panel, you all, an opportunity to just share how people can connect with you, your social media, your website, anyway, they can connect with you afterward. And we'll also put that in the follow-up email, but for the people who are here now and want to look you up right away, Judith, how can they find you?
You can find my website at www.starthertv.com, STARTHERTV.com. You can find me on Instagram. My handle is @StartHerTV.
Awesome.
Sounds good. Sabrina?
Yeah, well, you can find me on my website at simplybeinsabrina.com, and also check out my YouTube channel at Simply Being Sabrina. And I talk about not just Instacart, I also talk about doing AI, how to get your resume started, different side hustles and jobs. So I do a lot of things outside of just Instacart. So definitely want to check that out.
Awesome.
Sounds great. And Dilo?
Yes, you guys can follow my comedy page, which is a monthly show I produce in LA, and it's for women. It's called Ladies Love Comedy. Follow me there on Instagram.
So at Ladies Love Comedy.
At Ladies Love Comedy.
Perfect. And Arbel?
I like that handle, Dilo. That's
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, you can find me at TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, all under the same handle. It's Freelance Big Sis. So just Freelance Big Sis. And then I have my link that's in all of my bios, actually my Stan store. So you can find my courses, starter kits, links to all of my other things, and then my free ebook that I mentioned and my free 18 gig ideas as well.
Sounds great. And thank you all for sharing your insights, your pros and cons of gig work and beyond. This was really good.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
You.
And thank you to everyone who came on today.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you all for the folks out there. Thank you all for your questions. I do have a post-event survey that I'm going to put in the chat. So if you do have a moment, this only takes maybe 2 minutes tops. We always welcome your feedback, both about this program and about what you'd like to see in the future. So thank you all for being here, for the panelists, for the audience, and we'll see you next time.